Okay, everybody. Well, welcome to our Tuesday night call with the Heat team. This is so exciting for me personally because I get to be the one to introduce our very special guest and a good friend of mine, Karen Richards. I'm going to read her bio, but before I go ahead and do that, I just want to tell you guys that, one of the things that strikes me so much about Karen is just her absolute joy as a person to be around. She has a heart of gold, and it literally is like a spotlight shooting across the room when you walk in. It's just, I've met her in person a couple of times, but I'm getting to know her more through this process too, and I can't wait to hear her story and share that with all of you tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and read her bio, and then Nikki, if you could switch over to speaker view so we can see Karen, that'd be great.
So just so you know, Melissa, if you can hear me, what I do on a recording is I do a spotlight. And right now on my screen, you're big and beautiful.
Okay.
So this recording, I mean, you're big on the screen. You're big. And so what's going to happen is the recording will show only what I have. And so on your screens, you can choose whatever you like. You can choose speaker or not. But on my screen and what's recording will be spotlighted between the two of you.
Okay, awesome.
That's cool, eh?
Okay, well, with that, let me introduce Karen Richards. She's a national marketing director and certified health coach. She's a mom of 3 beautiful kids and married to her husband, Josh, who is a middle school teacher. Karen is passionate about helping others with their health goals and chronic disease, as she herself was diagnosed with MS. And her children all have a form of autoimmune disease, including her oldest, who has cerebral palsy. Please help me welcome Karen Richards.
Yay! Well, hi guys. I really need to invest in a lamp because it's like you're getting the backlight in here. Because I got my tower garden over there. And the only reason it's in my office right now is because I literally took down Christmas last weekend. So if you're judging me, too bad. I love Christmas. I almost left it up. I was like, maybe I should just put like hearts on it or something and just leave it up for all seasons. But yes, I love this team. There's so many people on this team that I know personally. I've gotten to know a lot of people through image, and couple people, 3 people's faces that pop up right away. I was like, oh, we were in Mars together, so great fun. Lots of awesome, things happening in your lives. And so I hope that that's something that you're getting to. I guess I'll probably just share what my product story first. I was introduced to Juice Plus 10 years ago, in March. It was 2007. And, I was working part-time at that time, I believe. But I was working part-time at like 5 different things. So I was really working full-time. And my middle daughter was about 2 years old. But my oldest son, that's why we really were praying for something to come our way. So as you heard Melissa say, he has cerebral palsy. He was born when I was at 27 weeks. So for those of you that can do the math, that's the end of your 2nd trimester. No problems during the pregnancy at all. Just random one day, he decided like he'd had enough in there and he was coming to party, and he's pretty much been that way the last 16 years. So once you get to know him, you'll love him. He has his own YouTube channel. He has his own Facebook following. I mean, he's kind of crazy. So Colton's Corner, that's my plug for Colton's Corner. So we just really were praying for something because before he was, I'm going to say 5, he'd been diagnosed with cerebral palsy, autism spectrum disorder, Chiari malformation, which is when there's some brain tissue that comes out the back of your skull. All these are non-related to each other. It's just things that were happening. He had retinopathy prematurity, which for those of you that don't know, that's why Stevie Wonder is blind, because he was a premature baby and your retinas don't develop. He had heart disease and just some valve things that weren't quite working in his heart. And we pretty much lived at the doctor's office. One of my cheerleaders, I was a cheerleading coach, and her dad was our insurance agent. And she's like, most people have a file. And I'm like, yeah. She goes, you guys have 2 file cabinets, like 2. And they're not like little ones. They're super big. And she'd tell me all that all the time. And I have to file my dad's paperwork. So I see all your insurance claims. Okay, well, what do you want me to do about it? By the time he was 18 months old, we'd accrued over $2.5 million in medical debt. And so when Juice Plus walked into my life at that point, I was just praying for something to make my baby healthy. And I met Jamie Mercer, who is also a national marketing director. We gave our speeches the same time in Nashville, and she's a complete stranger. And I believe truly that, God puts the right people in your path. And I was praying for an answer, and Jamie and I met at a continuing education seminar because she's a physical therapist and I was a personal trainer at the time. Neither one of us has ever taught that class that we went and got certified for. So I know it was because I was meant to meet her. And I always tell people, anyone that knows me knows how super shy I am. You can tell just by, watching me. And so Jamie and this group of therapists, there was like 6 of them, and I was by myself. And I was like, so where are you girls going? And she's an introvert, right? So Karen Richards, in her face, she was like, we're going to Panera. And I'm like, can I come? But she asked the right questions. She was like, tell me about yourself. And she didn't tell me tons about her. She kept asking me questions. Tell me more about that, and I'm like, well, my son, and of course, like I said, I'm extrovert, so I'm like, bleh, my sick baby, da-da-da. And in the process, she shared with me that her daughter was premature and had been misdiagnosed with cystic fibrosis when it was actually failure to thrive. And I said, well, failure to thrive, how do you fix that? And she's like, I had no idea. And then I found this stuff. It's called Juice Plus. Have you ever heard of it? And I was like, no, but do you sell it? And she said, yeah. And I said, well, here's my credit card. And she's like, no. Take this CD home and share it with your husband. I'm like, he really won't care. We have millions of dollars of debt. How it can't be that expensive, So we started on the Children's Health Study back when it was like a weird, chewable tablet that wasn't the greatest. It was like Tums for those that have been around. And he didn't like it. So I started him on the capsules, and I took those. He was, I'm trying. He'd put tubes in his ears, and I was like, please, can we just give me more time? He's like, he's in 1st grade. It's not getting better. You need to, take steps. And I said, give me 2 months till school gets out, maybe over the summer. And he's like, fine, I give you 2 months. And when we didn't come back to the doctor for the whole next year, he ran into me at church and he's like, you switched doctors. I'm like, I didn't switch doctors. What are you doing? I'm like, I started giving him this Juice Plus stuff. It's working. And he's never once missed school since 1st grade, except one time he had a tummy bug at school in the 6th grade. So to go from always missing school to never missing school. And, I saw lots of other things happening to his body. And I don't think it's just the Juice Plus, but Juice Plus was a huge catalyst because he wouldn't eat anything. Like, I was happy if I could shove a hot dog and some fries down his throat, I was going to do that because he wouldn't eat. He was so skinny. You could see his ribs, and the doctor's like, that's just what kids with CP look like. They're going to be really skinny. And all of a sudden, after 2 years of Juice Plus, I was like, man, he's kind of chunky. So I don't know if this stuff's working, right? So he was actually processing nutrients for the first time in his life. And all of a sudden, he just shot up. Like, went from being this teeny tiny person to getting a little bit of the pudge that little boys get around 2nd grade. He got in 4th grade, and then he just started growing and growing and growing and growing. And I'm like, what is going on? His dad's super tall. Well, to me, because I'm like a midget. I'm 5 foot. His dad's 6'1". But we just never thought he'd be, that tall. And then all of a sudden he shot past me, and then he kept going and he kept going. And now I have to look up at him. And we measured him the other day. I think he's 5'9" or 5'10". And it's just amazing to me, how someone's health can go from that poor to that good in a year's time. And then during that time, other things continue to happen. I got pregnant for a 3rd time, my only Juice Plus baby. I always tell Paolo, like, he teases me. I'm like, I'm the poster child for anything Juice Plus. Like, you can go to Wendy Campbell's website, but it's probably referencing me. I have everything. So we all had asthma and allergies. None of us do anymore. Have to take medication. And again, not just Juice Plus, but it was a catalyst for change. I thought as a personal trainer, I was eating really clean. Come to find out, who knew, right, that I needed to eat even more. I didn't know that. I didn't know when you exercise, you had to eat more fruits and vegetables. I just thought I was doing pretty good getting up, because I got like 5 a day and I was feeling pretty good about myself. But along the way, then he was born. we banked his cord blood because they were already doing studies in Japan to where they were using siblings' cord blood to help heal spinal and brain damage for CP. And I was like, man, it's got to be close in the States. And so they have started recently doing things at Duke with siblings. So, but we thought if that comes around that we could help our child and we didn't, we would kick ourselves. So we banked it. And soon after we banked it, we also heard it's a waste of money to bank your cord blood because most people don't have what you need. For the medical professionals would understand this. I didn't, but it basically so many parts per million is what has to be in stem cells. And I'm like, okay, what does that mean? And someone's like, well, most people bank it, but they're not viable. You can't do anything with them. So you might as well donate them to science. So I soon heard a voice comm training come across from Wendy Campbell. And this girl, she had been pregnant and they were calling him a super baby. And they were like, oh, she had taken double juice plus and drank one of the complete shakes every single day. And her count, what you need is in the parts per million, and hers was in the parts per billion. And I was like, man, I know I got that girl beat. I'm teaching 14 fitness classes a day or a week, pregnant still. And being as short as I am, I couldn't eat anything without getting heartburn. So I was drinking like 3-4 shakes a day. I was taking triple capsules. We went and got our results. We had trillions, not billions. We had trillions. So like I pay that fee to bank that stuff. You never know when you're going to need that, And then in 2012, I was diagnosed with MS. That was a total shocker. It came out of just nowhere. And I was actually running with one of my best friends and I just told her I didn't feel good. And I passed out while I was driving home that morning and wrecked my car. And they got me in the hospital and they're like, we got to tell you something. We found something in your MRI. And I was like, oh, it's a brain tumor. And they're like, no, it's not. It's not a brain tumor. We find what's consistent with MS. And I actually knew several people with MS. I was like, that's all? Like you scared me for a second there. Because as a parent, you'd much rather have something with yourself than your children. Like I couldn't bear one more thing with my kids. And then the next year, boom, right behind it, like almost to the day, we found out my daughter had Crohn's disease. And the first thing the doctor said to me is, who in your family has an autoimmune disease? And I was like, well, I do. And she said, autoimmune diseases are genetic. It just won't manifest the same way. So if your parents have asthma or allergies, you might have psoriasis. Your brother might have Crohn's. Your niece, might have diabetes, like all these different things, because you're passing on that DNA of autoimmune. And it also, it passes through the mail too. So that was a shock for me. I had no idea. And I knew that I'd been asthmatic my whole life too. So that really made me want to jump into the research of food more. And at that point, that's when I decided to go back to school and, really dive into holistic health and food and learning more about it and what it does and, watch everything Mitra Ray does and find out about biochemistry. And, during all this time though, that's when I was making my big push in my business. 2012, I was diagnosed. In 2013, my daughter was. And I was like, this is silly. We also moved in 2013 to Tennessee from Missouri. And I decided, with my health and my daughter's, I don't want to go back to work. I have worked all my life and I want to be home to take care of my kids. And I talked to a lot of leaders and I got some great advice. And they were like, man, because at the time I moved, I was working full-time in one location. And by full-time, I'm not even joking when I say I worked at least 65 hours a week, sometimes more, especially during this time of year because I worked in a gym and everybody's in the gym and everybody needs a health consult because everybody has these great resolutions and they're going to stay in the gym through March and then it slows down. But I thought, how can I get to national marketing director? How can I get the pay that I had? And in 2013, I went to an image seminar and it was in Don Rathman's basement. And I said, I'm going to be an NMD. And God bless Dawn. We all love Dawn. She's like, okay, how are you going to get there? So she made me stand up and just map it out. And I was like, well, I don't know. She goes, you better figure it out fast. And I was like, okay. I said, well, I've already got a great front line. We're just going to keep going wider, and then everyone's going to, you know, duplicate from there. And that's exactly how it happened. And I started January as a Zero Club sales coordinator, and hit SSC that spring conference and Q that fall conference and NMD a year later. And it was just pure fun is really what it was. And I didn't feel like it was a lot of work. However, I tell people now when they want to join my team, I don't say, you can treat it like a hobby and it'll pay you like a hobby, or you can treat it like a business. I say it's a business, and if you want to work part-time, you can. And if you want to make it full-time, there definitely is full-time benefits that go with it, better than any corporate job I've ever held in my life. And so, you know, that really also kind of goes back to my business story. Jamie offered me girls' weekends quite a bit. And I've talked to her about this. It's funny, you know, how we try to kind of get people to come along and whatnot. And so she would leave me these messages like, hey, we're going, I assumed to Branson Boot Camp now that I know what it is. We're going to this girls' weekend in January. We'd love to have you. You were so much fun to hang out with. You know, you should come. And it really wasn't that I was saying no to the business. I didn't have any money. I couldn't go on a girls' weekend, you know. So, but I was very coachable. And so when she approached me with her really cute daughter, who's a really cheap shot, she brought me an owner's manual and to my office with her little girl and was like, Gracie just thought she would hand you this, and we want you to look through it and see if it makes sense to cover your product. Well, okay, it makes sense to cover my product. You know, but 2 weeks later, I found myself on an airplane to Phoenix. And I don't remember any of those NMDs' names from that conference, but I can probably tell you what 10 of them looked like and what they were wearing. And how profound it was to hear their stories and just know that I wanted to do that. And so that's really what fueled me all the time. You know, it doesn't matter how much time you have in your day. I said that in a teaser message I sent. I look up the screen, it says Lisa. I want to start laughing. Melissa today, because I listened to stories when I first started of people like Michelle Finley who worked their business in 3 30-minute time slots a week. And I was like, I can do that. I can do that. So I would sit in my car on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. Tuesdays, I was with Brandy Foss. Wednesdays, I was with Jamie Kinsey. And Thursdays, I was with Jamie Mercer. And this was consistently my business for probably the first 2 years. And in that time, I mean, I went to sales coordinator in 4 months. I had a really great paycheck. It was probably double the average of most sales coordinators because I just fit it in where I could, but I never wasted time on B and C activity. When I was on the phone with them for 30 minutes, it was making 3-way phone calls, 3-way phone calls, 3-way phone calls. And once a month, I had a wine and wellness, which I have done up until this last year, the first Friday of every month. Always getting in front of people. You know, I'm a true believer in events, in the fact that an event can be a coffee date. An event can be playing at the park. An event can be going into someone's office and doing an appreciation, bring them smoothies or teachers or whatever. It's just like they say in church, where 2 or more are gathered, you know what? That's what an event is too. So if there are 2 people, that's an event. A 3-way call, it's an event. And I would much rather get someone on a call than rearrange all my stuff in my office. This is always the biggest joke. I love to show people this in my office. I can't remember. I think it was Jamie Cantrell's team. Like, they were literally dying, laughing so hard. I don't think it was on the recording, but I'm going to show you. I have to take off my phone. But so this is how the magic happens, people. So here's all my stuff, right? And then watch, it gets better.
That's great.
That's awesome, Karen.
So when you get on a call, you just throw a blanket over all your crap. You push your table over. And when I have events, do I clean my office? No, never. Never. Because this is pretty much how it looks half the time. The rest of my house is clean, I promise, if I took you on a walking tour. But it's not a activity. I have things to do. I have things that I want to get done. And, you know, sometimes the laundry's piled up for 2 extra days because if my kids are old enough to run an iPad, by golly, they can figure out how to use the washing machine. You know, if they can help. They have chores, they do dishes and things like that. Because they know that with all those little things that we do to run our household, that they get to win big I got to ask each of them where they wanted to go when mom hit NMD. I promised each of them a trip. And my daughter got to go to the beach this summer. My little guy got to go to Legoland. My oldest one, we've not been able to do it because he wants to see Ellen DeGeneres, and Ellen has not been very cooperative. We've tried really hard. He even had an Ellen-themed 16th birthday party. I mean, who does that? But he did. We had a huge following on Facebook to do this event. So I know that kid will get in front of Ellen somehow someday, but that's his NMD trip. I got to take my daughter to New York City for Christmas. It's just all these things I get to say yes to my kids. And there's little things that I've had to sacrifice along the way. Sometimes, like last weekend, we had an event, a Super Saturday in Nashville. It was important that I get guests there. So I missed, a 7-year-old basketball game, but my husband was there, so there are things that I said, I will make sure I'm at the important stuff. And that's what my kids have always said. They're like, Mom, it's fine because you're always at the important stuff. Kids are not going to remember that you missed soccer practice. They will remember that you missed the playoff game. Kids aren't going to remember that they had to eat a really easy dinner or whatever it might be. My daughter makes dinner a lot when I was going for NMD, but there was nothing better than getting my NMD call and me yelling up the stairs, they're calling, and all my kids being on the staircase listening and waiting and like perched over the stairway going, did we get it? Did we get it? Did we get it? Because they were a part of it. And I got to say yes. And they were fighting over like who got to call my husband. I'm like, I guess I don't get to call daddy. And they're like, no, we call daddy on speakerphone and they're screaming at the top of their lungs, we made NMD, we made NMD. It wasn't mom did it, it was we did it. But that's just kind of how we roll. We put our DMO as a whole family together, and we just keep plugging ahead because if you're really passionate about something, it will fuel you. So whatever it is. And I had awesome and that's okay too. And I was like, wait, what? And, Deanna Rose was on it too. And she's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And it's amazing how it has fueled up all these people on our team, because when I first got into Juice Plus, my why was different. It's changed a million times, And so when I first it was about staying home with my kids. Well, I achieved that. I'm here. So what fuels me now? My husband and I started a foundation this last summer, and it's all around special needs, really teens and adults, helping them have some of the services, because like we watched a big park got built here where I live, and it's handicap accessible for a 7-year-old. Sure it is. But what about the rest of us? Like when I go take my kids to the park, I like to get on a swing with them. So what happens when someone older than 10 wants to use playground equipment? Just because you're not 7 years old doesn't mean you don't want to go to the park. So you can already tell from my voice, right? I get really irritated about that stuff, because it's something I've had to deal with my whole life. Like I'm taking my kid here and he can't do it. And so it doesn't make me cry. It makes me really feisty. And so that drives me in my B as well. So, those are just kind of some of the things, I guess, that make me who I am. I think the best part about being in Juice Plus, though, has been the community. You're going to find, like, I look again, all these faces, like I'm a fan of your team. I'm such a fan of this team because I see your relationships with each other, and that is what will keep you there when maybe too many people canceled in a few months in a row and you just, I'm done, or when you're having your best days ever and you just want to tell someone. I'm willing to bet it's probably people on this line that you pick up the phone and call. I have my best friends from elementary school and college, and I love them. I love them. I love them. But on some of the very hardest days of my life, when I've been in the darkest place, I pick up the phone and I'm calling Jamie and Brandy, and I need somebody, and they're there for me. And then when I'm having the happiest day of my life, I'm like, I'm leaving my job. Today's my last day. Like, those are the same people I'm calling. So stay in your community. Really, really work on these relationships, because as Don Rathman tells us, relationships aren't something, relationships are everything. And that to me is everything. I feel like that's been my success in Juice Plus, is that relationships are everything. And I love having relationships with people. So I don't know if you wanted me to go in anything else because I've talked really fast. And
no, you're awesome, Karen. This is great. I've taken like literally 4 pages of notes listening to you. Like I keep running down to write it all down. And I'm like, how can I get him to Ellen? Like, how can I get him there? You know?
I know, right?
I'm on the bandwagon. Yeah. But I have a question about, you know, like one of the things, again, I love so much about you. We were talking about this on Voxer, is just that I love that you take charge, you know, of your life, and you're a real take charge kind of a person. And my belief is that if you're going to run a business, you have to take that same kind of ownership on some level at every point, right? Yeah. So how do you, as a mother of 3, you talked about, you know, missing some of those things, but how do you, I guess, protect the time with your business? Is it the kind of thing where you lay out your business first and fill in the stuff around it? Or, you know, just some strategy around that I think would be helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I can say after I was in Dawn's basement in December, the next place I was an event in Nashville, and Sharon Rankin said, you have to use the paper planner. I've used a paper planner most of my life, but I'm a very techie person. Anyone that knows me knows, like, I am a technology person. But during that time I was sick and things, like, you know, you get tired of your phone beeping and Voxer going off, right? So I have very set times I do my business. I have no alerts that go off on my phone. I haven't heard a Voxer chirp in a year and a half. I have times I look at it. If it's in front of my computer, I check it often, because I do have a couple hours a day that I'm in front of my computer. But I can just show you here. My passion planner goes with me everywhere. This is the 4th one I've gone through. I'm OCD. I'm just going to tell you, people. It's just who I am. So this is my planner.
Wow.
And so anything in like yellow is business, orange is my family, pink is my devotional time, blue is self-care, and then I do like purple, which is my joys. If you don't have at least a joy a week, let me tell you how your week goes. It doesn't go well. But if you are working towards a B, like let's say I train my team in that, and like I had a leader tell me she was having such a rough week, and she opened her planner and she saw she had date night with her 3-year-old on Friday. She's like, that fueled me all week. I was like, I can do this. I can talk to people. I can, you know, because I get to have date night with my little guy. And it's just things like that. And I also am protective. Like right now, my daughter just walked in from dance. Dinner's already ready. My husband can take care of it. We're true partners. He's awesome. He's done so much, like stepped up the game around the house, because that's how he is a part of the business. You know, he is a rep on paper, but doesn't actively really go out and get customers, but he's running the household. He's picking up kids. He's taking them wherever they need to go. He's doing dishes. If we're having an event though, he's downstairs. He's an amener. He's a part of it. He's talking to the husbands. So that's huge. Just getting, you know, people to support. Also though, from 4 to 7, my business is closed. So you might catch me, like I think I was boxing Melissa earlier today, but my team knows this. Now, if I'm driving to pick up my daughter at dance, I might, you know, catch up on Voxers. It's a good quiet time for me. But other than that, you know, my little one gets on the bus. He's the last one. He gets on the bus at 8:15, and I talk to the ladies at the corner, and I come home, and 8:30 shops open. And I go from 8:30 to 4. Like whatever's happening that day is happening that day. And at 4 o'clock, I shut off. And from 4 to 7, I'm a mom. I am focused on them. They come home from school. We're doing homework. We're getting ready for activities. We're doing dinner. We're catching up on whatever we need to catch up on. And then they're still going at 7. They go to bed between 8 and 8:30, but daddy takes over and I can get back on the phone 7 to 9 typically. And then 9 to 10 is Josh and I's hour together. Because that's another thing I learned in the business is we read the 5 love languages. I thought his love language was something totally different, and his was quality time. And it totally blew me away. And so when I started shutting down my business at 9 and giving him just an hour of my time, and then he goes to bed. So if I need to get up and go back and do 1 or 2 late night things, I can. But just having that hour for us and the time for the kids, my business runs really smooth. If there's a Saturday event, like we had a Super Saturday, then of course I go. But other than that, also my office is shut on Saturdays. I do no business. I do not answer my phone. They know that they have to call me if they want me because it's an emergency. If someone's calling me, there's a pretty big deal. And, you know, you think if you worked a 9 to 5 job and your office called you on Saturday, you'd be like, someone had better have a good reason to call me. Because there is no emergency in fruits and vegetables, right? It's just fruits and vegetables. It's okay. So my team's very respectful of that, and I've asked them to pick, you know, some times to protect for their family. And I think that helps too. If you have a spouse that's a little like, if you say, look, I'm blocking 3 to 4 hours a day just for you, honey, and then also either Saturday or Sunday, it's family day, they'll respect that and they'll come along, you know, and be a part of your business.
I love it. You run it the way that it works for you. And I think that that's a really important message to everybody on the line, is that look at your life. You know, I trained on this a little while ago, but I said, look at your life and see what works for you and pick the times. Like when you're going to go for vacation, when you're going to do this, pick your times and protect that. Thank you so much, Karen. I do want to ask, we're over 6:30, so I want to respect everybody's time, but I do want to see, is there anybody that has any questions before we wrap this up here? You are so awesome. And I can't see from the way that it's lit, so you'll have to unmute yourself.
I have a question.
Go for it.
Karen, if I got a ticket for the Ellen show, would you bring it? Would you guys come if I got you tickets? If we could make that happen, us on the West Coast, we'll try and make it happen.
That'd be awesome. But you know what? I think you have to be 18 to even get tickets. That's kind of been our hang up. But we have emailed her, and he actually had, you know, his Facebook. Maybe I just need to start another wave of a Facebook event. That's what we had. But yes, we would love that. That's his goal in life, is to meet his leading lady of daytime, as he calls her. So.
Well, she lives close by to us here in the West Coast, so we'll see what we can do.
Well, you all make it happen. He'll be there.
Awesome. Anybody else before we wrap it up?
I'm typing his Facebook page so you guys can check it out.
Oh, how cool. There we go.
I have a quick question, and my little one's not feeling good, so if he starts to cry, I'm sorry. But so I'm pretty new in the game, and I'm noticing that with 3 kids like you had, even though I'm really diligent and OCD about making my schedule, oftentimes things get in the way and I have a hard time sticking to it. So I'm wondering if you have any advice for once your schedule is set in stone, like how do you really create determination and focus to stick to your game plan?
Well, I think a big part of it is it has to be a family plan. Even little people can understand that mommy's at work, even if she's in the room. And that's just been something that my kids respect, is that, you know, even because I started doing this when they were very little, you know, like I said, my oldest was 7, my next one was 2, and then I had another one along the way. And it's just that it had to be smaller amounts of time. Now I can sit at the computer for 2 hours if I need to. I couldn't then. So maybe it was 15 minutes, you know, and I really worked my business in stolen moments. Like I said, it was 30 minutes here, 30 minutes there. But I think it's easier to set your work hours in stone if you have little ones, and just say, like, you know, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, those are my Juice Plus mornings, and I'm going to be diligent that at 9 o'clock I'm going to be in some kind of activity. But I think the easiest way to do Juice Plus as a mom, your kids are, I mean, they're your reason, not your excuse. I mean, my kids, people would say to me, you're a personal trainer, of course you get people on Juice Plus. I'm like, man, I don't have, my personal training clients aren't my bread and butter. My bread and butter is moms, and it still is to this day, because I got all my customers on the soccer field sidelines, on the t-ball sidelines, at the dance studio, at the gymnastics studio, sitting outside piano lessons. You know, if you're a parent or a grandparent, you're around a lot of people. You're at PTO at school. Invite. That's what I have my young moms do. Reach out and say to other moms, like, hey, little ones, it's cold. I would like to have people over. Let's just sit at the kitchen table and chat. And then you guys can have your, you know, your kids playing, and you guys just get to sit and talk. But you got to be around people. That's the main thing. You have to go where the people are. So even if it's that just pushing a grocery cart through Kroger, that's the way to do it. You know, that's one thing we've been practicing in my team is question and compliment. Everywhere they go, they ask a question followed up by a compliment. Oh my gosh, your baby is so cute. Thank you. How old is he or she? I love your scarf. Oh, thank you. Where did you get it? You know, just anything like that. Some people are going to tell you more. Like, I'm looking at Nikki and she's got this great picture behind her. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so fascinating. Nikki, tell me about your picture. You know, and so then she's going to say something. Or I may say to her, Chelsea, she's on the treadmill, like, hey, Chelsea, we're at the gym. Like, why do they paint the color of this wall this? Like, this is not, you know, what I would work out at or whatever. You know what I mean? And they will start talking to you. Strangers will tell you anything. So it's just always ask a question, though. That's what Jamie did to me. She didn't tell me anything. She asked me a ton of questions. So whether your kids are teeny tiny or not, whether, you know, just get around people and ask a lot of questions.
Awesome.
May I ask a question?
So I'm going to say something really quickly. And can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
You know, our time is up. If you guys have another call or need to get off, do so. But if you want to stay on and Karen is willing to answer a question, that's fine. I'm recording it. So if you guys have another call and you need to get off, feel free, but go for your question. Who was asking it? Hello.
If I could ask a question, Karen, if you're willing to stay on a little longer.
Yeah, sure.
Buffy.
I'm looking for whoever it is. I can't, I'm like, oh, there you are. Okay.
First of all, thanks for being a judge at a particular event.
Yes.
That was awesome. But if you would just be willing to kind of take that role play further, you were saying ask a question, compliment.
Mm-hmm.
So if you would just kind of role play, what's that next step? What does it sound like in regards to introducing Juice Plus?
Yeah, so Buffy, I love red because I'm a St. Louis Cardinal fan, so I'm going to assume that you are.
I'm not, but that's okay. We can assume.
You're not? What team do you follow? No, who's your team? Tell me who your team is.
Oh, gosh. Green Bay Packers.
Okay, that's not baseball. You're not a baseball fan. Okay, your Green Bay Packers didn't fare so well this week. What do you think?
We can't talk about that. That's not why I'm wearing green.
She's killing my role play, people. Are you with me here? Okay.
Sorry.
No, you're good. So are you, I mean, overall, you love sports. You're a sports fan.
I'm not. Red just fires me up.
No, but I'm still talking about your Green Bay. I want to know about Green Bay. We moved on to Green Bay. We don't have to change subject.
All right.
So do you follow football?
I support my husband.
Oh, what does your husband do?
He's a Green Bay Packer fan, so I support him. But he's in real estate.
Okay. Well, that's awesome. So he's an entrepreneur.
Yes.
So does he work a lot? Like I have real estate friends and I feel like they're gone all the time. So you get to be there with your kids.
Because I'm a sales coordinator, but we're role playing, right?
That's right. That's right. So what are your family's goals, you know, with him being an entrepreneur? What does that look like for you guys?
We truly want financial freedom. We want to give abundantly and live abundantly.
Okay. So I'm cutting here, you guys. She's never once given me any reason to share Juice Plus with her. Why would I throw Juice? Right. But you know what she did say? She told me your husband's gone 24/7. You know what? I have this awesome opportunity to make residual income. So I don't know if you know a lot about that, but I would love a chance just to show you what I do. I'm also an entrepreneur. Could I shoot you a video? Okay.
What video
So I send something short and sweet. I never send anything over 2 minutes because our attention span is like a goldfish and it's 7 seconds. If I'm sending a product video, it's usually the millennial one that has Jenna Root's husband because he's eating the corn dogs. Because everybody thinks it's funny. It doesn't matter if you're 15 or 70. That's funny, right? And it's just under 90 seconds long. If this person truly wants to do the business, like they're going to listen to me, I'm probably going to ask her to meet me for a cup of coffee. Now, some people you might want, you know, they might tell you, like some people told me, I was role playing with somebody and they said, what'd she say? Oh, I said something about the color of the wall. And they said, well, I hate that color. And I said, well, why haven't you changed it? And she said, because right now it's so cold, my fibro and my hands, they're really bothering me and it's hard to, you know, do fine motor skills. There's my end right there. But you have to ask questions. Like my rule of thumb is back and forth 3 times minimum, or I don't bring up Juice Plus. When you guys will let go of the outcome, it will just keep coming. Like I don't need to talk to just Nikki. I need to talk to every single person on the line to get to my one person. And the more people you talk to, you have more people to follow up with. we can't focus ourselves on like, oh my gosh, you know, I tried to talk to Buffy and she didn't go for it. Because I don't know her. I don't even know her yet. So it may or may not be a good match, right? But I like her, even though, you know, she's with the Packers. That's cool. We can be friends. But she's wearing red, which I dig. She seems like the kind of mom that I would probably hang out with. So I'm like, I don't know. Like, you want to go get a cup of coffee sometime? This is my line here, too. Like, I haven't been here that long. I don't know that many people. I'm still just trying to meet people and make friends. And everybody's like, yeah, that's cool. You know, so that was my big push when I got here. Kimberly Warlow challenged me to go out and meet as many friends. She goes, I don't want you to look for one customer. I want to see how many friends you can make this month. That's and she's just my sideline buddy. So I went out and was like busting out the friendships. I'm like, where do I find friends? In the gym, at the PTO, in church. If you're not out, this is not a stay at home in front of the Facebook computer business.
Yeah.
Thank you, Karen. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Karen, so much. Oh my gosh. Thank you guys so much for coming on the line tonight, Karen. We love you. We are fans of yours. And
thank you.
We're going to get him on that show. Let's go for
Let's do it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Behind you.
Everybody, you want to unmute yourself and give a rip roaring heat thank you for Karen. Thanks so much for the
You're welcome. You're
Thanks,
welcome.
Karen.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Karen. Awesome.
Yeah, you guys, Nikki, probably as a follow-up too for your team, usually when I get on a call, then I'll get a bazillion friend requests, and I want you all to know this in the most loving way. I actually don't friend request many Juice Plus people. That's